look at the first review activity. Now, this isn't really review. Ella, can I get you to close the door, please? Thank you.
Amy is gone.
Yeah, I know. I'm videoing for Amy all week.
And Robert.
And I don't know anything about Robert, but he'll have it too. Okay, so here's what I want to show you. Let's say I've got this problem. 2 plus 3 plus 4 minus 4.
That's just
It's just 5.
Because you just do the 3 plus 2 because you added the 4 then took it away.
Right. So what I want to tell you today, and it works in addition and subtraction, and it works in multiplication and division. If you have something like plus a number and minus a number, you just cross them off. You don't even have to look at them or do anything with them. Because if I do 5 plus 4, that's 9, minus 4, I'm back to 5, aren't I? So that's kind of what this is. Let's take a look at it. Okay, get your pencils, get ready. 3 times 2 is what? 6. I'm going to write it down. So if I do 3 times 2 times 10 divided by 10, what can I cross off here? The tens. My answer is 6. Okay, let's try it with the decimal. Let's go down. 5 times 3 tenths. 15 tenths. How do I write that?
1 decimal 5.
Good. And then 15 tenths times 10 divided by 10. What do I have?
1.5.
Okay, so these two operations cancel each other out. It's like nothing. Okay? If I take any number, multiply it and divide it by itself, it's going to end up as being nothing. Okay? So what's the easiest way to do 3 times 2 and 5 tenths?
You take 3 times 5, 15.
25 times 3. I agree. So what's 25 times 3?
7.5.
75. Then put the decimal back in. 7.5 or 7 and 5 tenths. Okay? Same thing here. So the answer is, okay, this is just a little bit of mental math, but it's also teaching you to watch for these operations that you can just cross off. So what's the easiest way to do 34 times 2? 68. So it'd be what? 6.8. And we've got the same thing again. Okay, so why are the products the same when we multiply by 10 then divide by 10?
Because you're just adding it and then subtracting it.
Right, you're putting it on and taking it off. Even though it's multiplication and division, it's just like adding it and subtracting it. Okay, let's take a look at this review of decimals. All this is decomposing decimals. So here's what I want you to do. Write 7 and 463 thousandths in the top of each number bond. And we'll kind of talk through this one together. Okay, so do you have that in there? Because I don't want you to have to waste time doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now take out the ones. 7. Jesus, what's left?
463.
Thousandths, right? Okay. So I took out the 7. Here's what's left. Before when we did this, we did a box. Okay. Let's take out the tenths. Brian, you want to take out the tenths for me? What do we have?
7 and 4 tenths.
74 tenths. So you go ahead and take the decimal out. Good. And how many thousandths are left, Brian?
63.
So if you box all the way to the tenths, what's left? Good. Okay, how about you, Katie? Take out the hundredths here.
746.
I don't know why I'm doing that. 746 hundredths, and how many thousandths are left? Okay. You want to try that on the next one? Sure, give it a try. You can check yours with mine. So check your answers with mine. Pretty simple. Let's see if your brain can remember what to do on the next one. There's one more. Whoops. You know who I'm going to ask, don't you? I'm going to ask Brian to help me. So go ahead and write, this is on the back of the first page. So Brian, whenever you're ready, you can help me here. Let's see how it's going. So take out the ones.
6.
And what's left over?
849.
Good. How about Justin? Justin, take out the hundreds here.
684.
Good. What's left over? Good. Kaden, you want to do the next one?
668 and 49.
Good. Okay, did I go too fast? It's just a quick little review, all right? Let's take a look at the problem today. This is a great real-world problem. Oh, goodness, I left something on there. So let me read it, and then you can see why I put a pretty big tape diagram. Don't draw it yet, okay? Or if you are going to draw it, make it pretty big. So it says the 5th grade craft club is making aprons to sell. Each apron takes 1 25/100 yards of fabric. That costs $3 per yard, and 4.5 yards of trim that costs $2 per yard. What does it cost to make 1 apron? And if the club wants to make $1.75 profit on each apron, how much should they charge per apron? Now,
I figured it out. It's a trick question.
so here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about how many parts do we need for each apron? Fabric and trim. Now, trim could be ribbon, or when my mom made an apron for me, she put this stuff on it. It's called rickrack. Okay? I didn't draw that very well, but trim could be ribbon or something to make it look a little fancier. So how many parts do we have for each apron?
We have 2 parts.
2 parts. So I'm going to put 1 apron here. And I'm just going to organize my thinking. Okay? So as I organize my thinking, the first part's going to be the fabric. The second part will be the trim. All right, so go ahead, and it doesn't matter, they're not equal. We're not going to add these together or multiply them based on what size they are. So, Jaden, how many yards of fabric do I need? That's trim.
Oh.
It's okay, I'll put it on there. Fabric is
1.25.
Yeah, 1.25, which is 1 25/100, which is 1 1/4 yards. Okay? So when it says that it costs $3 per yard, what do?
You buy 2 yards because you can't make it with only 1.
Actually, they'll cut it to 1/2 for you.
Well,
They will.
Costs more
So I'm not going to buy more than I need. I just want to know the cost. So when it says per yard, add,
Yeah.
subtract, multiply, divide. What do?
Per yard.
When it says per yard, you're going to multiply. So write that down. So $3 per yard, we'll get to it. Cooper, I see where you're going with your thinking, and it's not a bad idea.
$3 per yard.
So now we're going to do 4.5 yards of trim. How much does that cost? Okay, now I think I can do mental math on these. Because I can think of this as 1, I can think of this as 1/4, couldn't I? So how much is 3/4?
75
75 cents.
and 3.
What's 1 times 3?
4. Oh no, 3. Sorry.
That's okay. So $3.75 worth of fabric.
But now we have to multiply the.
Okay, so how much trim are we talking here?
4.5, which is 550. So we have to multiply 5 times 2.
Wouldn't you just think of it as 45 times 2 and then put the decimal back in?
Oh yeah.
What is 45 times 2?
Boy,
90.
do you?
Okay, now here's my thinking. If I've got 10th place here, I've got to show 10th place here. Well, it can't be 9 cents. Because it's $2 a yard, so what? It's $9. So the total cost of an apron, boys and girls, what is it? Plus $3.75.
$12.75.
Okay, $12.75. Now here's the part. I don't want anyone shouting out the answer, okay? But if they want to make a profit of $1.75 on each apron, how much do they have to charge to sell it? This is how much it costs to make it, okay? So $12.75 is the cost of supplies. They want profit. What does profit mean?
They want the money back.
They want the money left over. Don't shout it out, but what do you think I need to do to figure out how much to charge?
You have to do. You have to.
Now, do I want my total to be more than this?
No.
Or less than this? Well, if my total is less than this, I'm going to lose money on every apron I make.
And
You need to add. So if I add,
you get $4.50 or $14.50.
so they would have to charge at least $14.50 an apron to get their money back and make a little bit of profit. How much would you charge? I wouldn't want to mess with quarters at the craft stuff.
$15.
$15. So would I. I would charge $15. Make my life easier. Good job, boys and girls. Okay, so today's lesson. Now you're going to have to really pay attention because
Yeah, because tax, you're going to just have 50 cents in tax.
well, that depends. I mean, you might not have to charge tax. Okay, so let's talk about problem number 1. Now, how does this problem differ from the ones we've been doing? Alondra? There's a decimal in it, okay? We're working on decimals and multiplying today. Do you like my Indian shoes?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to talk Native Americans this week.
I have
Okay, so the problem is, because there is a problem. Probably in 4th grade, you got in the habit of putting the largest number on top of the standard algorithm. And that's okay, because a lot of times the largest number has the most digits. But starting today, are you listening to me? We will put the number with the decimal on top of the standard algorithm. Okay? So let's write the standard algorithm. Now watch me for a minute. This is incorrect.
Right. Because the 4 needs to be behind the 3.
I'm just going to take it out. There's no rule that says I can't take it out and put it back in, right? So I'm just going to take the decimal out.
Wait, but then it's wrong.
Shh.
How is
It won't be. Trust me. Quit interrupting. I'm videoing. Okay. Or recording. So now that I've got that standard algorithm taken care of, okay, the number with the decimals on top, that means I'm going to put the decimal on top of the area model. So how would I do that? 24 tenths. Can't I just write the word tenths again? Now, it's very important you can't forget it because 24 tenths is different than 24 ones. So how would I separate 24?
2, 20 and 4.
20 and 4. You've got to be careful. Think in terms of unit form. Okay? And then what am I multiplying by?
43 and 40.
Now stop, don't multiply yet. Because it's very important that we round the factors and estimate the products. If we can do that accurately, it will tell us where to place the decimal in the final answer. So help me out. How would you round these two numbers? 43, what would you round it to?
40.
Okay. Now we haven't been rounding decimals for a while. Can anyone remember how we round a decimal?
Use the thing out and then
Use the tens place to help you decide. Okay? So on 2 and 4 tenths, I'm going to round to the nearest whole. So it will be 2 or 3 would be the nearest whole number, right? So Corbin, if we're using tenths, what whole number? 2. The 4 tells us to stay at 2. So 40 times 2 is what?
80.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so
Who said that? Who said 60?
you're ruining my video. You could come in at 3:30 and we can do it again, just the two of us. Okay, so my answer is going to be somewhere close to 80 what? Ones. That's very important that you get place value in your head. You don't have to write it, but you've got to have it in your head. Okay, this is very simple math. Enjoy. Enjoy the simple math. Go ahead and stop when you get your partial products finished. You don't have to add those up. Those are only there to help us check the math. Make sure we didn't make a mistake. Guess what happened today more than once? When kids were multiplying, they noticed they had made a mistake in their standard algorithm. Turns out they copied the problem down incorrectly. And they didn't do the whole thing because it was the very first number that they did wrong. And they went, oh, I messed up. I wonder what I did wrong. So this is 2-digit by 2-digit, okay? So you're going to have two partial products. Go ahead and do the easy math and enjoy yourselves. Don't forget to match partial products. And you have to write your answer in unit form. But notice I put something out to the side. I've got to write the decimal in my final answer. I'm going to give everyone a chance to get this far, and then we'll talk about it. Now, this is something I really like about 5th grade math, because you learn how to do something, and then you go back and do it with decimals, and it just seems so simple, because you're doing the same thing, only easier. Okay, so if my answer is 81s, where's the logical place to put the decimal? Jaden, what do you think? Between the 3 and the 2. That would give us 103 ones and 2 tenths. And any other option, like 10 and 32 hundredths wouldn't make any sense. And 1 and 32 thousandths wouldn't make any sense. And 1032 wouldn't make any sense either. So that's the only logical place based on the estimate. See why the estimate's so important? Okay, let's keep going.
I mean, how would you even get 1 and 32,000?
Well, because you put the decimal in the wrong place. That's the only reason you would get that answer. And I just need you to follow along, okay? Just follow along. All right, so
The decimal, when it's in the tenth, it's just one number after the decimal.
I like that. I didn't want to confuse you, but she's right. See the tenths place right here? It's just one digit after the decimal. And what about the tenths place down here? 1 digit after the decimal. Okay? Very good. Let's keep going. So first of all, what's different about 5th grade multiplication when you're using decimals? Fernando, what's different? Does the largest number go on top? No, what number goes on top? The decimal, okay? But he's right, we're going to make it 35 tenths. So get that written down first. Times 42. Don't multiply yet. I know it's hard, isn't it? So then 35 tenths on my area model would be what plus what? 30 plus 5. What's on the side?
40 and 2.
Okay, don't start yet. We have to estimate. Okay, so rounding 3.5 to the nearest whole number, it would either be 3 or 4. Kaden says round up to 4. Do you agree?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's a 5.
5 in the tenths place tells me to go up, okay? So I'm going to round this to a 4. What about the 42?
40.
40. So your estimate is what?
40.
160. You can't forget to write your answer to your estimate. And it's 160 what? You got to at least think that place value. Okay, how about some easy math? Okay, do it. Oh my, this is easy. Don't forget, this is 2 digit by 2 digit. I need everyone to pay attention when you finish. Okay, so the only logical place, if 161s is my estimate, would be to make this 1,470 tenths what? Where would you put the decimal?
7 and 0.
So it would be 147. Now, when you get to your exit ticket, kids are forgetting things. They forgot to write tenths, which makes it wrong. They forgot to write tenths. Some kids put the decimal and wrote tenths. That makes it incorrect. So you have to take a look at these steps so you don't leave any off. All right? Nothing on your exit ticket is harder than this. This is as hard as it gets. Let's do the next one. This one is more difficult than anything you have to do on your exit ticket for some reason. So let's start by deciding what number goes on top of the standard algorithm. So Rustin, what number goes on top of the standard algorithm? How am I going to write it? 156 tenths. Now, what happens is we take the decimal out so it doesn't confuse us. You just have to make sure you put it back in. You can't just leave it out or your answer's going to be wrong. So this one's a little different, but not too much, is it? Okay, so on the area model, please don't start multiplying yet. Promise me. Okay. Okay, the turkey. Okay. So then, what goes on top of my area model? 100. Very good. And the side? Okay. Now we're not quite ready to multiply yet. estimate. So if I look at this whole number, 15 and 6/10, what are my two whole numbers?
16 and 7.
So I'm going to pick 16, aren't I? Do I want it to stay at 73 or go down to? Okay, now here's the thing. I don't know the answer to this, but I'm going to use mental math to figure it out. So when everyone put your pencil down when you get this far, and listen to my reasoning. Is your pencil down? Okay. So what if I changed 16 to 15? Because I can do that in my head. I know that 15 times 2 is 30, right? And then if I keep going, 15 times 4 is 60, and 15 times 6 is 90. I only need 7 15s. So what's that? Hurry.
105.
105. Okay? So 7 15s is 105. But I'm not done because I changed that to 15. Now I got to make it go back to 16. So how many do I add into this?
1.
1 for each 15. How many 15s are there?
There was 7.
7. So plus 7. What do I have?
112.
And then I have to put my decimal on. I mean my zero on, not my decimal. So it might have been easier to do 16 times 7 with the standard algorithm, but I felt like practicing my 15s today.
You're supposed to pick out your ones.
Oh, thank you. So this is 1. So we're going to be over 1,000 most likely. Okay, so on the area model, I want you to stay with me. 3 times 1, add 2 zeros. 3 times 5,
15.
add, good. 3 times 6.
18.
Okay, I want you to add the 2 smaller boxes first. So that's 150 plus 18, what is it?
168.
Good. So if I add these 2 is 168 plus 300, what do I have?
468.
468. Okay, you with me?
Sure.
7 times 1, how many zeros?
3.
3. 7 times 5,
35.
how many zeros?
2.
7 times 6.
42. Add 1 0.
You guys are really good at multiplying. So, what if I add 420 plus 3,500? What do I get?
309 or 3,920.
Okay? And if I add those two together, what do I get?
10,920.
Okay, those are just your partial products. Okay, do the standard algorithm and check your partial products. So far, so good. Did you remember to write tenths and then equals?
No.
Yeah, it's very important that you write tenths because if you don't, your answer will be wrong. Okay, now let's use Jaden's strategy this time. How many digits to the right of the decimal in tenths place? 1. So if I have 1 digit to the right, where will I place my decimal?
Between the 8s.
Between the 8s. Does that make sense according to my estimate?
Yes.
1,120? How far away are we from our estimate?
18.8. Wait, no.
18.
Yeah, it is 18.
18 and 8 tenths. Good. Okay,
Good job.
we're gonna do exit ticket now. Good job, boys and girls.